This is a 1997 Mazda B2300 pickup, same motor as the Ford Ranger with 2.3. This motor's just been rebuilt, but I'm having problems with temperature. Can't get the engine up hot enough. I'm not getting an indicator on the dash. I'll give you a quick rundown of what I've done so far. You got two sending units on the engine. This one right here is for the instrument panel, which I've replaced it. Still not getting an indicator. However, I know my electrical system and the indicator's working, because if I put a jumper wire across these two wires, indicator on the dash jumps to the hot side. That's a good way to test that. And this one here is for the computer system. If you hook an OBD2 scanner in it with the capabilities of reading engine temperature, you'll be able to read the actual temperature. And in fact, that's what I've been doing. The temperature thermostat that I've had in this thing came from a dealer. It's 192 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and take this thing apart and try to figure out what might be causing the problem. But I'm hoping it might just be a bypass. I'll let you know. To start out with, I've got a cheap Harbor Freight sump pump. I'm going to use that to suck about a gallon. Actually, I took exactly a gallon of coolant out of that radiator. I just went down through the top where the fill port is. That's the easiest thing to do. I wouldn't suggest tampering with any more lines on this thing or the drain valves on the bottom as much as you possibly have to. That's just the potential for another. Alright, took me about 15 minutes to get this off. Essentially what I did was I took the fan off and then the radiator shroud. I went ahead and took the serpentine belt off to get me access, give me a little bit more room. Essentially, I think what I'm going to boil this down to is it's probably this thermostat housing, and I'll explain to you what happened. Before I pulled that thermostat out, I cleaned that off and blew through it, and a considerable amount of air blew through, so which tells me that this thermostat's not sealing, and I'll explain to you why. But blowing through this, I rinsed it off with water and tried to blow through it, and this thing's dead sealed. But here's what's happening is this thermostat sits down inside here like that. Well, what's going on is there's a flange. I don't know if you can see it. I got a set of calipers here. I'm going to show you what I did. But you can see right here there's a flange on the inside that seal sets up against. But if you measure on this side here, all the way down, I'm reading 1 inch, actually 990 thousandths. So when I go to the opposite side, it's not a whole lot, but I'm measuring 900 thousandths. So there's basically 90 thousandths difference, I think, which is not a lot. I mean, it's close to 1/8 of an inch. I mean, there's basically the difference from one side to the other. So I think in order to fix this problem, I mean, this is an aftermarket part, came from Rock Auto. I don't know that it would make any difference who you get it from. You're probably going to end up with the same aftermarket manufacturer. But what caught my eye is you actually look down inside that thing and you can see the difference in the projection, that this side's deeper. So I'm going to see if I could find a seal or something that maybe I could stick in that thing to compensate for this thing to maybe seal it off. But essentially what was happening is water's able to bypass it around that seal, and so the engine is not able to heat up like it needs to. So it's bypassing all of the fluid that's in the radiator. So what we really need to focus on is getting it sealed up. And as soon as I figure out what I'm going to do here and get it sealed where I can blow through it and it's tight, I'll let you know what. I want to show you guys what I'm running into here. I took the thermostat and basically just pressed it in here firmly, and I'm going to blow into that thing. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm going to put the mic up to it. Just going to put my mouth around this thing. Hate doing that, but oh well. You can hear the air just flowing like crazy, but here's what I did to fix it. This here's a standard O-ring kit. It's just a 419 piece. I think I got it O'Reilly years ago. But what I have done is, sorry to make you dizzy, pulling that thermostat out, I've taken an O-ring and laid it down inside here. That fits tight up against the walls of this area right here. O-ring size is, let me get you. It's 135 thousandths OD. is when I say OD, the thickness of the rubber. I'm going to take that O-ring and I'm going to place it down inside of that housing. And I've got another O-ring right here. I'm going to use it too. Here's what I did. I went ahead and put the thermostat back in there, and it basically fits the exact same way, a little cockeyed there. But by blowing into it now, you can still hear a little bit of seepage, not much, but I'm going for none. I don't want to pull this thing apart again. So what I've done is I've got another O-ring here. I'm going to lay right over top of this thing here, and it barely just fits in there. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to cram it in there, and it's going to fit on the inside of that other one. And it shouldn't fall out or circulate through the system because you've got considerable, quite a bit of an additional lip right there, I guess, to catch it. So, all right, I got this thing back together. Here's what I really like. What I'm seeing is you can see these little tabs that are on the thermostat. You can see how they're pretty much flush with this surface, which is great on both sides. And the reason I like that is, and you can sort of kilter it in there a little bit and rock it, but that'll keep that thermostat pushed taut up against, or tight up against those O-rings, and then give you a nice tight seal. But right now, as it stands, there is no air leakage through that thing at all. I think that might have been our culprit for our problem. As we start this thing back up, or get it back together, I'll start it and I'll let you know what happened. Right there is the temperature gauge. That's where it usually stays. So that's basically the starting point. Alright, this is the launch CPR 123 reader, OBD2. Right off the bat, I got 69-degree temperature. I know it's not accurate, which tells me I didn't hook my sensor back up. So I'm going to go do my electrical connections real quick. Well, folks, that fixed the problem. I'm going now. Of course, it's down to 165 right now. It was up to 190 just a second ago, but depending on if I'm moving or not, it's fluctuating from 165, it looks like, to around 190. So when I'm driving, it goes up to 190. But you can certainly tell the difference in the heat. I've actually got heat coming out of the vents that seems like it's going to be doable. However, my cold hot temperature gauge here, there must be something else wrong with it. I can't get that to function properly. Even at the 190, it's not moving. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a secondary temperature gauge on this truck so that we'll know where the temperature's at all times. Because with that like it is, you don't know if your truck's overheating or not. So you certainly want to know that. So right there you can see 193. I don't know if you caught that or not. To fix the thermostat issue, I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing in. This is a digital. I picked this up from O'Reilly. But what I really like about it, it has an electric sending unit that you screw into the block, which is what I'm gonna try to do, rather than screwing it into that where the sending unit is now. There's a port on the driver's side block right below the oil pressure switch. I'm going to try to hook this into it, and then I'll run the wires up to this and probably mount it. It's got a bracket that comes with it. I'm going to try to mount this underneath the dash, and then for this light, it's got an integrated light right there. I'm going to try to hook it into the instrument panel so that you can see it at night. So this thing picks up from 100 to 280, so it's got a pretty broad range, so that we'll be able to see the 190-degree temperature that we've got on that engine. Good luck to you, partners.